All right, so we're diving into some pretty heavy stuff today, moving way past the usual celebrity rumor mill.
Yeah, this is the real deal.
You guys wanted the full story on Puff Daddy's trial, and, well, we found some stuff.
And let me tell you, it gets interesting.
It really does, especially coming from a Mexican news source, Poresto.
Foresto, yeah.
They're painting a way bigger picture than what we've been seeing in the headlines.
Exactly. This isn't some Hollywood scandal, you know.
Right, no Twitter beef or anything.
We're talking about Sean Combs.
Yeah, Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, whatever you know him as. This is a name that means something.
Huge name.
In hip-hop, in fashion, I mean, the guy's got influence.
Tons of it.
And now he's facing federal charges. This is serious.
Super serious. And Poresto doesn't hold back.
Not at all.
They're talking organized crime, sex trafficking, human trafficking.
Heavy stuff.
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, no kidding. And to understand just how big this could be, you gotta look at who Puff Daddy is.
Right, because he's more than just a celebrity.
Way more. This is a guy who built an empire from nothing. I mean, he shaped the sound of a generation. We're talking about power and influence that goes way beyond music.
He's a household name.
Exactly.
And with that kind of fame,
Comes a lot of scrutiny.
especially with charges like these.
Yeah.
But for those who maybe aren't as familiar with his background, can you give us the quick version of Puff Daddy's story so far?
Well, he's practically the American dream, right?
Meh.
Went from pretty much nothing to a music mogul,
Built it all himself.
founded Bad Boy Records,
Huge label.
launched some of the biggest names in the game, Biggie, Notorious B.I.G.,
Legends.
and then just kept going. Clothing lines, restaurants.
Vodka even?
The guy knows business.
That's an understatement.
He's a tastemaker, an icon.
Totally.
So yeah, this case, it's not just about one guy's actions. It could be the whole legacy unraveling.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the whole system, right? Like, how does something like this even happen in the music industry?
Exactly. It's about power, who has it, who abuses it.
It's a lot bigger than Puff Daddy.
Way bigger. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, let's break down those charges.
Let's do it.
Organized crime, sex trafficking, human trafficking. Those are serious, each one on its own.
Deadly serious. And the fact that they're federal charges?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
It means this isn't a slap on the wrist and we're done. This is the big leagues. We're talking potential decades behind bars.
Wow, so they're saying he was
Yep.
basically running a criminal enterprise.
That's the idea. And if they can prove it was all connected, that those other charges were part of a pattern.
Or Rico,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Poresto mentioned Rico. And I gotta admit, when I saw that, I was floored. Like, Rico.
Yeah.
Like the mob.
It sounds crazy, but it's not that far off. We're talking racketeering charges, organized crime.
So basically, they're saying Puff Daddy's music empire was a front for something way darker.
Potentially, yeah. And if they can actually make that RAKO case stick,
What happens then? What are we even talking about?
we're talking about a whole different ballgame. The penalties get even more serious, way more.
So we're talking even more than decades. I mean, what kind of evidence are we even talking about for something like that?
We need to connect the dots.
Between
Puff Daddy, his people, and what went down. It's all got to be linked to this bigger criminal enterprise.
So this is where those 100 devices come in.
Could be. We're talking emails, texts, finances, the whole 9 yards. That's years of data, potentially.
Trying to find a pattern.
A pattern, a connection, any little thing that ties it all together. They gotta make it airtight.
That's a lot.
And it's not a sure thing, going to trial, I mean. A lot of RICO cases.
They fizzle out.
It's more like they deal.
Plea deal.
Plea deal, the risk is too high.
Because they could be wrong.
They could be wrong, or they could be right and you get slammed. Mandatory minimums with ARCO, they're no joke.
So even if they think they've got him dead to rights,
Sometimes it's better to take the deal, you know.
avoid the whole circus?
Exactly. Control the narrative as much as you can. Plus, you've got the court of public opinion to worry about.
That's a whole other thing.
It's huge. That leaked video, for example,
The one with Cassie.
that's out there now. Whether it's admissible in court or not, people have seen it.
So it's like this whole separate trial is happening.
It's exactly. And it can influence the real one, you know? Jurors see that stuff.
Even if they're not supposed to?
Exactly. It's human nature.
Yeah.
And even if he's found not guilty, that stuff sticks with people.
So how do you even fight that?
That's the million-dollar question. The judge can tell the jury to ignore everything, but...
Easier said than done.
Exactly. His legal team knows that. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it.
So much strategy involved.
Yeah.
What should we be looking for as this moves forward? Like, what are the big signs?
Well, for starters, keep an eye on pretrial motions.
What does that even mean?
So basically, his lawyers can file to get the case dismissed.
Just like that.
Not just like that. They have to argue that there's not enough evidence, that the feds messed up somehow.
Oh, interesting.
Could be a long shot, but it happens. They could also try to get certain evidence thrown out.
Like those devices.
Exactly. Claim they were obtained illegally or something.
So those pretrial motions, those could be huge.
Huge. Could make or break the whole case before it even goes to trial.
It's like a whole other level.
Oh, absolutely. And we know Puff's got a good team. They'll be fighting tooth and nail.
High stakes, high-powered lawyers. Sounds intense.
It's going to be a wild ride. And the whole music industry's watching.
Like you said before, this goes way beyond Puff Daddy.
100%. It's about accountability, power, the whole system.
So with the trial still over a year out, what happens in the meantime? It's a long wait.
That's the justice system for you. This is just the beginning. More hearings, more motions. Who knows what else they might dig up?
And we'll be following every step of the way.
You know it. Breaking it all down as it happens.
So much to think about, even with the trial so far off.
It's a big one.
And speaking of big, let's talk about the what-ifs. Let's say, hypothetically, Puff Daddy is found guilty.
Okay, let's say that. Then what?
I mean, that's life-changing stuff right there.
Life-changing, yeah. Prison time, fines. You lose your reputation, your whole brand.
All gone.
And it could ripple out, too, affect the whole industry.
How so?
Think about it. He's found guilty on these charges.
Yeah.
That's huge. Other people might come forward?
You're saying like a Me Too moment, but for music?
Could be. People see that even someone like Puff Daddy can be held accountable.
So it changes things.
It changes everything. Power dynamics, how business is done. Everything's under a microscope.
Wow. So this case, it's bigger than just him.
Way bigger. It's about whether the system actually works.
Right. Can you actually hold powerful people accountable?
Exactly. Money, influence, none of that matters if the jury says guilty.
It sets a precedent.
Huge precedent. Prosecutors will be going after everyone. Any whiff at this stuff.
Wow. But what if he's not guilty? I mean, despite everything.
Oh, that sends a message too.
What kind of message?
Like, maybe the system is rigged. That even with all this, it's not enough.
And then what? Fewer people come forward.
Could be. Who wants to put themselves out there if even this isn't enough? It's tough.
So much to think about. This case,
That's a lot.
it really is. It makes
Yeah.
you question everything,
Yeah.
Power, accountability.
And justice. Don't forget justice. Like, what does that even mean?
Right. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out.
Over a year to go, and who knows what's going to happen between now and then.
More twists and turns, I'm sure.
You better believe it. But we'll be here through it all.
Every step of the way.
Yeah.
Breaking it down, trying to make sense of it.
That's what we do. And hopefully getting people to think, to question.
To stay curious.
Exactly. Because this stuff matters. It affects all of us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. That's it for our deep dive this week.
Until next time.
Stay informed, keep asking those tough questions, and we'll see you on the flip side.